Hello, friends, and welcome to Pathologic, Volume 1, Episode 5. It is Akari Day. We get to solve an Akari puzzle today, which is a delightful little puzzle that usually isn't all that difficult, so I'm looking forward to it. Let's hop right in by taking a look at the rules. Akari is a pencil puzzle in which we are going to be drawing lights in a grid to satisfy the following rules. Place lights in some cells so that every cell is illuminated. Lights in this example interface are represented by the green circles. Lights illuminate the cell they're in, as well as all cells seen in a straight line horizontally or vertically, not obstructed by a black cell. So, for example, this light in the solution illuminates itself, this cell to the west, these two above, but that does not continue in that direction because it's obstructed, nor does it illuminate anything to the east or south because those are both obstructed by black cells. Lights may not illuminate each other. It would be illegal for me to place a light in this cell because it would illuminate the one to the west and the one to the south. A clue indicates the number of lights in the cells orthogonally adjacent to it. Orthogonally, in this context, just means sharing an edge. So this one clue here must have exactly one light, one green circle, in the 4 cells that it touches. You can also see that it is fine for some black squares to not have a clue number in them. They still function as black cells for the purpose of obstructing the path of the lights. Those are all of the rules to Akari. Now let's get solving. Today's Akari puzzle was set by Freddie Hand. As with all the other puzzles in this volume, it comes from the Genuinely Approachable Pencil Puzzle series on the Cracking the Cryptic Discord. So thanks again to all of the setters who make these wonderful puzzles for us. I find this genre to be especially satisfying to solve in the digital interface. It's nice to do on paper, but seeing the cells light up is really satisfying. As with most puzzles that have clues that talk about adjacency, the first thing I always look for are clues that have either a very high number or a very low number. Zeros in this case tell us that no lights are in the adjacent cells. So we can fill in those from the 0. This 3, a 4 would be the maximum number we could see here, but a 3 on edge is just as good. It is telling us that all 3 of these adjacent cells have lights, and now we can see the awesome interface showing us all of the illuminated cells. So I could go through and mark all of these as not having a light, but I don't need to because they're already in this green color to tell me that. And that tends to make this a fairly easy puzzle to solve in most cases in this digital format because it's doing some of that bookkeeping for us, but I don't like it any less for that. Let's look at this one clue right here. This normally could be in any of these 3 cells, but as the interface has helpfully reminded us, this cell is seen by another light, this one, and this cell is seen by a light, this one. So the only viable cell for this one light is right here. And that beams all the way up to the top. And we've taken care of most of the cells at the bottom of the grid. And we get that same situation with these 2 clues, starting with the one on the right. There's only one viable candidate for the 1, which gives us only one viable candidate for this 1. And now we can work our way up. This 2 clue is now going to do the same thing. 2 of the options are already seen by lights, so these 2 both must be illuminated. All right, so that's it for all of the forced placements just from the clues alone. Now, let's look at another style of deduction you'll be doing a lot in these puzzles, and that is, instead of asking the question, where do the lights go around this clue, you ask, how could I place a light so that this cell gets illuminated? And if we look at the top left, that's a good question to ask about row 1, column 1 here. We can't put a light in it. We know that because of this 0 clue. We already marked it as not having a light in it. But it does need to get illuminated, and there's only one viable place to put a light so that it'll shine into that spot. So we have to put a light here. And as soon as we do that, we have satisfied this one clue, so we have to mark this cell as not having a light in it. Okay, where can we look next? We can scan around and find a couple more instances of that same deduction. It's nice to look for the cells that we have marked as not having a light, because those are likely the places where we're going to see that it has to have illumination, and maybe hopefully from only one possible place. And here you can see that's the case. This has to be illuminated. It can't be illuminated from below or left or above. It's got to be illuminated from the right, and there's only one spot. And now we have used up this clue. Oh, and in fact, I have not been doing this, but you can click on clues once you have satisfied the restriction by saying it has all of them taken care of. That can be a nice way of keeping track of your bookkeeping, to make it very obvious that this one clue is still an ongoing concern. Okay, so now I see a few things we could do. Let's look at the top right. Okay, so this cell here is interesting. So I was saying we often want to look at the ones we've already marked as not having a light, but this is actually kind of the opposite situation. This cell right here could be illuminated from the right or from below. But this cell itself can't be illuminated from below or above. We have marked the one to the right as not having a light in it. And to the left, we've got one that can't have a light because of the one clue, and one that can't have a light because it's illuminated. So in fact, this one can only be lit by itself. So this one must have a light. Okay, now let's look at this area over here. We've got one cell here. These cells could be illuminated by multiple possible locations, so those aren't going to be fruitful by themselves. They're going to be puzzles where you have to do some more advanced deductions in cases like that, but this one, being a simpler puzzle, doesn't require any of that, I think. I'm guessing. But this cell right here, we know this one does not have a light in it, and it must get illuminated, and there's only one possibility. And now we've taken care of this one clue, so this is not illuminated, or doesn't have a light in it, excuse me. And so now this, in order to get illuminated, has to have a light here. And now we've taken care of every cell in the entire grid except for this one. How is this going to get illuminated? Well, there's only one spot to put a light in the entire grid, and it is right there. And we can check that result, and that is how you solve an Akari. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and check out the description below for more free puzzles.